Okay, so it looks like we are live. Let's share the stream for a moment here and wait for some more people to enter the chat here. Okay, let's share here. And there we go. Okay, let's go. Okay, so Xfinity race. We had an Xfinity race yesterday at Dover. Thankfully, it did not rain, even though or rather, it wasn't delayed by weather. Weather did not. It did impact this race, but not as much as I thought. Which was honestly a bit disappointing because I was literally praying for this race to be held under clear skies, considering that Dover, especially the spring race at Dover, this is back when Dover had 2 dates. 3 of the last 5 races have been weather delayed. But alas, just like last year, the sky was overcast with a slight chance of rain. Just par for the course when it comes to Dover in the spring, April, May, unfortunately. But thankfully, weather did impact the race, but not as much as I thought. It did rain in the race, but it was just a light sprinkle, light shower. This was the last race of the Dash for Cash 2. The 4 eligible drivers for the final 100K payout. They were Jesse Love, Riley Herbst, Anthony Alfredo, and Ryan Sieg. Brandon Jones started on the pole for this race, his second pole of the season, with Riley Herbst, Dash for Cash driver, alongside him in second. Then Justin Allgaier third, Austin Hill fourth, Sheldon Creed fifth, Kyle Weatherman sixth, great qualifying effort for him. And then Chandler Smith in 7th, Jesse Love, another Dash for Cash driver, in 8th, Taylor Gray 9th, and AJ Allmendinger 10th. Then Cole Custer 11th, Ryan Truex in 12th, last year's winner, Ryan Sieg, another Dash for Cash driver, in 14th, Matt DiBenedetto 16th, Caden Honeycutt 18th, making his first Xfinity start of the season, solid qualifying session for him. Then Sam Mayer starting deeper in the field in 20th, and then the final Dash for Cash driver, Anthony Alfredo 21st. He will have to go to the rear due to unapproved adjustments, unfortunately. Corey Heim 22nd, then Carson Kvapil 26th, making his second start of the season on the 88 car. Then SVG Van Gisbergen 31st, JJ Yeley 33rd, driving now the 35 for Joey Gase, and Daniel Dye 36 on the Colleague number 10 car. David Starr 37th on the 14 car for SS Greenlight Racing. And finally, Josh Williams in 38th. So Colleague Racing with a terrible effort in qualifying outside of Allmendinger, who started 10th. It looks like this is going to be another AJ Carey job because SVG, Dye, Josh Williams, all 3 of them qualified outside the top 30. Only one driver failed to qualify, Chad Fincham on the 66. 39 cars showed up, one of them went home. Anthony Alfredo to the rear, like I said, for unapproved adjustments, but also Garrett Smithley, Josh Williams, Shep Burden, JJ Yeley, and Blaine Perkins. So, the race starts, and despite Riley Herbst having a good launch at the start, Brandon Jones, he has the preferred outside lane, and he clears ahead, taking Allgaier with him up to second. We have an early caution. JJ Yeley hard crashing to turn 1 after contact with Hailie Deegan on the front stretch. Some people saying that Dawson Cram got into the back of her, hooked her into JJ Yeley. I never managed to see an angle of that replay. The only thing I have to say is just, not again. 15 car with big damage as well. And of course, again, like I said, Fox doing an amazing job providing a poor angle of the wreck. Some people saying that, Dawson Cram hit Hailie Deegan. He hooked her into JJ Yeley. But again, to be fair, most of those people saying that are like Hailie Deegan fans or Hailie Deegan like defenders that go way too overboard. So honestly, um, for all we know, this could have been, just Haley Deegan being caught at the wrong place at the wrong time. But once again, another incident for her. This is becoming quite a common occurrence. So early this season, unfortunately for her. So after a lengthy caution, where some sprinkles of rain were reported, the race restarts on lap 14. Justin Allgaier has a great restart, and he passes Brandon Jones on the bottom lane, quickly establishing himself as the guy to beat. Stage 1, from there the race goes green. We have a couple of close calls. Taylor Gray, Allmendinger, they make contact while battling for 7th, with Cole Custer right behind them off turn 2. Great save by Allmendinger though, no caution. Well, the caution comes out a few laps later though. Ryan Sieg's car catching fire in turns 1 and 2. He does eventually brings it to a stop, entering the backstretch, but it was a very dicey situation. A lot of fire and smoke coming from that 39 car. He was okay, but unfortunately he dashed for cash. Bid comes to an end. And of course, once again, Fox messes up once again by confusing him with Matt DiBenedetto. If you look at both of their paint schemes for the race, that was clearly Ryan Sieg. And that's 2 blunders that they have made already, and it's only stage 1. So we go to pit road. Some drivers use this caution to pit and try and gain track position, while the rest of the field pits at the end of the stage yellow. Those drivers being Josh Williams, Jesse Love, Parker Retzlaff, Van Gisbergen, Caden Honeycutt, Jeremy Clements, David Starr, and Dawson Cram. Josh Williams unfortunately gets penalized for speeding on pit road. Then we go to the restart. The leader restarts on the bottom this time, but then again it's Justin Allgaier, about the only guy who can make it work this early in the race. The bottom lane eventually came into its own in the later stages of the race, to the point that it became the preferred lane on the short run, and then the top lane became a preferred lane on the long run. But as far as the start of this race was, as far as stage 1 was, the top lane was just the ticket all throughout stage 1. So Allgaier was about the only guy who could make it work this early on. He speeds away and he cruises to the stage 1 win, with Brandon Jones in tow in 2nd, and then 4 seconds behind them Cole Custer in 3rd, with Sheldon Creed, Riley Herbst, Austin Hill, Chandler Smith, Allmendinger, Ryan Truex, and Sam Mayer completing the top 10. Then we go to pit road. The drivers who pitted during the last caution stay out. The rest of the leaders pit. This gives the lead over to Parker Retzlaff. Cole Custer wins the race of pit road over Brandon Jones, Justin Allgaier, Sheldon Creed, and Riley Herbst. This caution is extended for Blaine Perkins, who was driving the 29, another RSS car, having an electrical fire underneath the hood. That's just another DNF. He gets out of his car. He is okay, but something to take note of regarding the RSS cars. But fortunately, they had no more issues. The only 2 DNFs from electrical issues for RSS Racing were only Ryan Sieg and Blaine Perkins. But for a moment, I thought the other 2, Kyle Sieg, DiBenedetto, they will have the similar issues. We go to stage 2. Parker Retzlaff starts on the bottom, and he has a great launch, but he cannot hold the lead to once again Jesse Love being on the preferred outside lane, and he takes the lead. All the while, the drivers on fresher tires, they start moving up to the front, particularly Cole Custer and Austin Hill, as the threat of rain starts looming closer and closer. And as the run goes on, Cole Custer, he started to slowly pick up the top 3 in front of him, Love, Retzlaff, and Jeff Burton, and he eventually gets the lead on lap 72. And as soon as he gets the lead, he starts pulling away, similar to how Allgaier did at the end of stage 1. And with stage 2 going green all the way, although we had a close call with Corey Heim being slow on the apron in turns 1 and 2 after he reported an engine issue. Fortunately, he made it back all the way to pit road though, so thankfully there was no caution. But this culminated in a stage win for Cole Custer and the Double Zero team, with Austin Hill, Jesse Love, Retzlaff, Sheldon Creed, Allgaier, Riley Herbst, Chandler Smith, Sammy Smith, and Ryan Truex completing the top 10. So Jesse Love and Parker Retzlaff, they managed to keep their track position and score big stage points. Then we go to pit road. Everyone pits. Cole Custer wins the race of pit road over Austin Hill, Allgaier, Riley Herbst, and Jesse Love. And we go to stage 3. Thankfully, the race is now official. If you don't know NASCAR rules, The race is official after the halfway point or after the end of stage 2, whichever happens first. If the race goes halfway after stage 2, then the race is official even if the stage 2 is not over. But if the first 2 stages are completed, even if 50% of the race is not completed, the race is official. So either or. It's basically an either or. Either the first 2 stages are completed or the race goes past the halfway point. Whichever happens first, race is official. Obviously, I would really love to see the race go the distance even more. I just don't really like, rain shortened races. But yeah, Cole Custer pulls away on the short run as Allgaier and Austin Hill battle for second. This side-by-side battle causes the field to stack up behind them, leading to some beating and banging. And this culminates in Ryan Truex clipping the apron, entering turn 1 and making contact with Jesse Love. This gives him a cut tire and forces him to come down pit road under green. Again, really tough break. And with the threat of rain looming, as per the radar, drivers and teams decide to run their fuel window long in hopes of not having to pit early in case a caution comes out for rain. They're not making it on fuel, but that's the name of the game right now. And try to extend the fuel window for as much as you can, and then just pit like at the latest possible moment. As the laps wind down and the leader starts battling through lap traffic, Allgaier starts catching up, but he cannot quite get the job done due to lap traffic also hampering him. He has the best long-run car though, so it's only a matter of time. But unfortunately for Allgaier, the caution comes out with 40 to go for rain. He just ran out of time. But it turns out to be a light shower, so it's all good. Not for Cole Custer though, as it puts him in a tough situation regarding the fuel consumption. And speaking of Cole Custer, he was supposed to pit, but at the last moment his team told him to stay out because Allgaier was also staying out. They were of course anticipating that the race would be called for rain. And he was not happy. And Joey Logano, he said it best on the broadcast, the one thing you hate the most as a driver is a last minute decision, your crew chief telling you like to pit or stay out at the last minute. So as along with Custer and Allgaier, Sammy Smith, Chandler Smith, Parker Kligerman, Kyle Sieg, all 6 of them stayed out. Everyone else pitted. Parker Retzlaff got penalized for men hitting for men over the wall too soon. And Garrett Smithley and Leland Honeyman, they also got penalized for speeding. And then just before the restart, like literally 1 lap before the restart, the rain starts picking up again. And that's when fuel starts becoming a real concern, as Sammy Smith, he runs out of fuel under yellow and he has to pit. The race eventually ends up being red flag with 33 laps to go. Important to mention, remember, Ford is leading this race. Ford's first win of the season across all 3 National Series is on the line. I'm not a fan of rain shortened races, but given that the Ford is leading, I'm willing to stop the count just this one time. So, is this how the race ends? Of course not, because remember what I said, it's a light shower. It was a light shower. This is just a 20-minute red flag, and then the race resumes. And right on cue, under caution, Chandler Smith, Cole Custer, Kyle Sieg, they all pit as they're low on fuel. And Justin Allgaier stays out and assumes the lead, along with Parker Kligerman, but not for long enough. He is in real trouble now. So after several fake-outs and will it rain, won't it rain moments, NASCAR finally decides to restart the race with 28 laps to go. And as soon as the green flag drops, Allgaier and Kligerman, the 2 drivers who stayed out, they get used up. Austin Hill bumps Allgaier out of the lead, dropping him down to 3rd, with Carson Kvapil moving up to 2nd. This restart doesn't last long, thankfully for the 7 and the 48. Fortunately, Allmendinger bounces off the wall in turn 2, gets sent into Eric Jones, and the 9 spin. Not Eric Jones, Brandon Jones. I'm sorry, I just have this video on Corey Heim planned out. It's gonna be a regular upload, and I'm gonna be talking about Eric Jones a couple of times because he is Corey Heim's replacement. I had this video in the works for about a couple of weeks now. I have it like in the drafts, but after the Eric Jones injury and with the announcement that Corey Heim will be replacing him, obviously I've been working on that video. It should be out after the Dover race. I tried to get it out before the Cup race today, but I just couldn't find the time. But yeah, a bit off topic there. Allmendinger bounces off the wall in turn 2. Gets into Brandon Jones, the 9 car spins out, and right on cue, pit road opens, and Allgaier pits as well as Clearman. No way they were making it in on field. Their gamble did not work. The race was not called for rain, and they ended up losing all track position. So this leads to another restart. 21 to go. Carson Kvapil spins his tires on the restart, and he loses second to Sheldon Creed. While the drivers on fresher tires, Cole Custer, Allgaier, the Chandler Smiths, they start climbing their way back into the top 10. Then another caution comes out. Sam Mayer and Taylor Gray, they make contact off of turn 2 while racing for 5th. It looked to me like Sam Mayer got tied off the corner, although it wouldn't surprise me if there was a bit of payback on Sam Mayer's part for what happened between those two at Richmond. And this is something that I have noticed. I don't know if you guys have noticed this as well, but every time Sam Mayer gets into an incident with a JGR car, with a Joe Gibbs Racing car, it's almost always the 19 car. Be it Ty Gibbs or Ryan Truex or Taylor Gray, Sam Mayer always ends up getting into an incident with the 19 car at JGR 9 times out of 10. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if there was a bit of payback for what happened between those two at Richmond. You know, like I said, it's a running joke on this channel that Sam Mayer, he's got to be fed up with how those Joe Gibbs Racing cars, they keep screwing him over. But yeah, this caution leads to yet another restart with 11 laps to go. Both Austin Hill and Sheldon Creed spin their tires. Ryan Truex, he tries to take a peek 3 wide, but he thinks better about it. Meanwhile, up front, Austin Hill and Sheldon Creed, they go to war, literally beating and banging each other. All of this hard racing causes both of them to wash up the track a little bit in turns 3 and 4. I think Sheldon Creed bounced off the wall a little bit on the front stretch, and this leaves the door open for Carson Kvapil to take the lead 3 wide on the bottom. Just full send right there. That guy just got the dogging him right there. Unfortunately, just before he can pull away, another caution comes out for Riley Herbst, getting tied in turns 3 and 4. And he got turned by Allgaier trying to protect the bottom. Kind of like what happened between the both of them last week at Talladega, just the roles were reversed. With, you know, Allgaier getting loosed and Herbst just tapping him and sending him out, crashing. The same thing happens here, only difference is that it's now the roles are reversed. It's Allgaier who taps Herbst. And 98, he goes for a slide. It looks like he will come out of it unscathed until he gets clipped by Kyle Sieg, and Sammy Smith is also collected. Big damage to the 8. He DNFs. The 28 and the 98 also with big damage though. But still, what a sequence with Carson Kvapil, man. That was unbelievable. Like I said, this guy, he's got the dogging him. This takes the race into overtime. Carson Kvapil and Austin Hill are in the front row. Hill drives into the corner deep in turn 1, but he gets loose and spins out. No one gets into him. It's just a single car spin. Although Sheldon Creed gets loose and he puts Allgaier in the wall hard, trying to get it straightened out. And I mean hard, like Allgaier had some pretty visible damage on the rear, on the right rear of that car, that no doubt it was going to affect the handling for him in the closing laps. So this takes the race into double overtime. You know, again, the argument can be made that that should not have been a caution because Austin Hill saved it, but again, it's not that big of a deal. To me, it's not that big of a deal. It's just Carson Kvapil again, and now it's Ryan Truex in the front row. Also, notice how Carson Kvapil, I haven't mentioned this, but Kvapil, when he held the lead, he always restarted on the outside. He always restarted on the outside. For both of the overtime restarts, he restarted on the top lane. And both of them are even, heading for about half a lap, until Truex drives it deep into turn 3 on the bottom, clearing ahead for the lead. And then just after they take the white flag, a crash happens on the front stretch up of turn 4. Remember what I said about Justin Allgaier getting damage on the previous caution? Well, that damage caused him to get loose, ill handling car. He eventually hits the wall hard. Remember, he already had damage from the previous caution, and that's no doubt that's why he got loose. So the race ends under caution, unfortunately, and Ryan Truex ends up stealing the win away to go back-to-back at his home track of Dover. Again, it sucks. It wasn't Carson Kvapil. We were all rooting for him there. But Truex is it's an okay winner. He's not a bad alternative. He's making his case as to why he should be a full-time in a competitive Xfinity car. I believe this is no surprise to anyone. But yeah, this just reinforces the argument that Ryan Truex definitely should be full time um, in a Xfinity car. If it's not gonna be with JGR, it's gotta be with somebody else. But this is the third win for the 20 car at JGR so far this season. All three of them coming with three different drivers too, with John Hunter winning at Las Vegas and Almirola winning at Martinsville, and now Ryan Truex winning at Dover. So, as for the notable finishers, because I just don't have anything else to say about this race, but yeah, other drivers that scored some good runs. I'm going down the finishing order here. Carson Kvapil, second. He was originally scored third at the finish after getting passed by Sheldon Creed, but it was corrected upon further review. Sam Mayer, third. Great finish for him. Sheldon Creed, fourth. Again, another great finish for him. Cole Custer, fifth. Man, if it was pouring rain, we would have just been talking about how Ford finally got their first win of the year. But it's like crazy for me to say that Cole Custer is probably Ford's best bet they have at scoring their first win this season across all three national series. I don't think it's that big of a stretch, honestly. Allmendinger finishes sixth, Chandler Smith seventh, and then Cal Weatherman, Anthony Alfredo, Parker Retzlaff running out the top 10. Three great top 10 runs for these three guys, particularly for Alfredo because his 9th place finish means that he won the Dash for Cash. Riley Herbst had the award on lock up until the incident with Allgaier leading the race, and Alfredo just kept his car clean all the way through because Jesse Love, he got the incident with Ryan Truex that he never recovered from, and of course Ryan Sieg, he got his car caught fire in stage 1 and he was an early exit. So the Dash for Cash, it was pretty much Riley Herbst's award to lose, but until he lost it from getting spun out by Allgaier. But Alfredo just kept his car clean, and for the second straight week, another underdog Dash for Cash winner. Parker Retzlaff, again, like I said, he finishes 10th. Jeb Burton right behind him in 11th. Parker Kligerman 12th. Ryan Ellis 13th. Jeremy Clemens 14th. Then Austin Hill 15th. Riley Herb 16th. Justin Allgaier 17th. SBG Van Gisbergen, he finishes 18th. Brandon Jones 19th. And Daniel Dye, who had a pretty much a quiet day. I kind of forgot he was in this race until I looked at the finishing order. I was like, oh, Daniel Dye was in this race, huh? He finished 20th. Pretty solid finish for him. Caden Honeycutt 23rd. Jesse Love 24th. He just could never recover from that flat tire after the contact with the flat tire. This was also his first finish outside the top 20 for him, which is honestly, again, surprising, given that it took him 10 races for him to finish outside the top 20 for the first time. Just goes to show you how great his start to the season has been. Josh Williams 25th, then Sammy Smith 33rd, Taylor Gray 34th, Corey Heim 35th. He DNF'd after an engine issue towards the end of stage 2. Then Ryan Sieg 37th, of course, with the electrical issue that caused his car to catch fire in stage 1, and JJ Yeley also DNF'd with the early crash on lap 5. So this ended up being a pretty eventful race towards the end. Notice how the chaos started devolving after the red flag for rain. It's honestly like the race flipped the switch and the urgency ramped up from 0 to 100. You can attribute that to the fact that all drivers were just good to go on fuel after the rain delay, but still, it was great to see a race like this at Dover. This track needs more races like this. Stage 1 was pretty quiet, but some strategy was towards the end of the stage. Stage 2 went green all the way, with the short run cars battling the long run cars. Some of the guys on older tires managing to keep their track position as well. And finally, stage 3, it was a race against the weather, and then after the weather delay, everyone pitted, and they were good to go on fuel. The pitting and banking started. We almost had an underdog winner in Carson Kvapil, but in the end, Ryan Truex came out of it to steal the win and go back-to-back at his hometown track. It's always a feel-good story when a driver just wins at a track that he considers his hometown track. But yeah, also Carson Kvapil is a stud. this race just proved that his fourth place finish at Martinsville a couple of weeks ago, that was not a fluke. I think I don't want to get too ahead of myself because there could be there's other drivers vying for that spot, but I think we may have found our next driver of the 9 car for Junior Motorsports for 2025 and beyond. Some people are going to say, Roger Carruth, and that's another good choice because he is also, I believe he's under a development contract with Hendrick, or at the very least, he's sponsored by Hendrick Cars. But if he is sponsored by Hendrick Cars, then that pretty much means that Hendrick has interest in him, and if he hasn't been signed by Hendrick Motorsports on a development deal, even if he hasn't been signed, that HendrickCars.com sponsorship, it pretty much says it. It's pretty much a telling sign that he is going to be a future Hendrick driver, or that he is part of Hendrick's future plans. But even if it's Raja Carruth who ends up going to the 9 car, I feel like Kvapil deserves a chance. There's still the number 8 car. I don't know. Sammy Smith still remains a question mark. For all we know, he could. I mean, so far he's doing pretty okay, but for all we know, he could just, either bottom out or break out. He's still a question mark. But if he somehow fails, Carson Kvapil, he's not a really bad choice to go replace him in the number 8. So all I want is this guy. My point is, this kid is a stud. He's a potential future Xfinity prospect. I don't want to get too ahead of myself as far as Cup Series goes, but full-time Xfinity ride for the next 1 or 2 seasons, definitely. Gotta remember, Brandon Jones is on a 2-year deal with them, and this is his contract year, and looking at his performance, he has improved as far as the start of the season compared to last year has gone, but he's still a playoff bubble driver, and he's right now on pace to missing the playoffs. Like right now he's below the cut line, so if he ends up missing the playoffs again, they should just pull the plug there, and they're going to have their fair share of drivers to, pick and choose from to replace him. But the 2 candidates for that ride, in my opinion, Carson Kvapil, Roger Carruth. Just going to leave this here and just let you guys enjoy the Cup race. Kyle Busch is on the pole, so I'm finally expecting a great... just finally expecting a good run out of him. Hopefully the weather is also better than it was yesterday. Hopefully we see the sun come out. Just don't want to get too ahead of myself there, but yeah, I'm done.